Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now on with the show. Welcome to Enough Said. It is the season finale of Agent Carter that we're talking about. Valediction, valedictorian, something like that. What does it matter, right? It's the last episode of this season. Hopefully there'll be a second. We have our normal group plus a special guest. So let's introduce each other. I am Ridiculous Rob Southgate. With me is
Jambalaya Jack Wendrowski.
And the All-Father Alil.
The All-Father. And who else?
Agent Sean. How you like that?
Agent Sean. Well, I think it's terrible. You don't understand alliteration, but that's all right. You get a pass because we've got Sean Hamilton with us again, everybody. I'm going to insert some applause right there.
Right.
Or booze. You don't know. It's a mixed bag. We'll find out. So we're talking Agent Carter again.
Yes.
Hopefully not for the last time. What did you guys think of tonight's episode?
Okay.
Wow. Who wants to go first?
I'll start. I wasn't disappointed, but I was hoping for more.
Oh,
okay. I liked the end. It was a good closure for the episode. I think us talking about this for the last 7 weeks now, we came up with so many theories and so many different ways they can go with this. It just kind of, I don't know. It just didn't. The ending with Stark flying into New York, it didn't have the suspense for me that I was hoping for.
Yeah,
I think that was it. I mean, I did like the scene with Peggy and the blood, and at the very end with Zola and that kind of stuff. But it just seemed like instead of going out with a bang, it kind of went out with a whimper.
Yeah, I think it might be because they did treat it kind of as a miniseries. Like if it ended here, it ends here. Like
right, and I think that
a story in the Marvel universe. But I think that was where it fell victim. I think they needed to approach it as a series.
I'm with you because the whole time I thought when I'm drawing the blank on the actor's name who was in the one shot was going to come in and kind of like take over
the director.
Yes,
Bradley Whitford,
thank you. And then I thought that would be they could have done that and had that tie in and then kind of played.
That's what we kept saying. That would have made perfect sense if it ended with him getting appointed director and like everything goes back to like all the sexism in that. Which it did. It did that same thing, but it didn't show us Bradley Whitford. I thought for sure he was going to walk in at the end there. Didn't you?
I did. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at. I mean, I didn't hate it. I did like Dottie and Peggy's fight, but outside of that, it was what I would expect in the middle of a season, not to end either. Even if it was the end of the show, I thought there would be a bigger bang.
All right. Yeah, I can get that. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I think it's kind of mixed. There were a lot of great things. They tied up the storylines. I thought they could have done more with the fight. I think Peggy kind of got knocked around a few times and got a kick, which sent Dottie kind of sprawling to what we thought was her death. I wanted to see a little more action. They got Stark back into the public eye. He's no longer public enemy number one. In fact, he comes out a hero.
Right.
He gets all of his things back, and the motivation was, look, I'm not just doing this. to get these things back. I'm doing this so that no government has access to these inventions. And I thought that was important, and they kind of reeled that storyline back in. The fact that Jarvis flew the plane and almost had to shoot Stark down, even though you knew he wasn't going to, it was getting close. And I thought, well, maybe he'll shoot the wing and they'll fish him out of the water. Or
yeah, maybe they'll Batman it and he'll disappear. We'll never know if he's alive or not, and then it'll be a dream and Talia as Ghul will have a bad death. And how did he get back to Gotham? I'm wondering that. I'm sorry, I drifted there. Sorry, folks.
That's the tiredness affecting your your cityscape again.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Sean, what did you think?
I gotta agree with Lo. It kind of I felt like it set something up, but it fizzled out a lot. Like I was expecting so much more from a miniseries, and in the end, it was just like dripping the blood out was kind of like I seen like I'm like anybody would have kind of used that blood and kind of like. I mean, Peggy Carter's, she's a great person, so I would assume that she would just dump it out. But I felt like the blood should have went to something that kind of set up something in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, which is what we talked about.
Yeah, wait a minot. Why are they just dumping it if that's the last vial of the blood?
Right.
But you could always invent something where, the Russians already had a sample, or there was a super secret sample, or they were able to clone something from the residue.
I thought they would have used that, some of it. We would have seen somehow that the Russians had it because that's how they used that to help create the Winter Soldier.
Right, but that's what I don't get. Yeah, I don't get that either. Like, how did the Winter Soldier get his, I guess they already had it back then, but at the same time, they just didn't really play into a lot of things that I felt like they should have. They could have thrown in a little Winter Soldier thing in there, maybe something there's a lot they could have added, and it kind of fell flat for me. Like I enjoyed the series, but is there going to be a season 2?
Well, they haven't said anything. I would imagine there is.
Right now the numbers don't merit it. I mean, there's a big
but the numbers don't matter. This is ABC, which is owned by Disney.
Yeah, they're going to push it.
It's whether Disney wants to do it or not. It has nothing to do with the ratings. And overseas, it's going to do well. And I'm telling you, the number they're looking for is when it hits Netflix. That's where it's going to tell them everything. As soon as it goes to binge watch, which this show is born to binge watch.
Yes,
that's where it's going to tell them, yeah, we need to do a season 2, or you know what? Let's take this series over to Netflix.
And I've seen a couple sites where you kind of go to see listings and replays and that sort of thing, which maybe some of them aren't so legal, but they do list Agent Carter as was a hot item. And so somehow in the Hulu internet kind of realm, it was doing fairly well. But somehow...
and once it goes to binge watch, I think that's going to... If it does well there, we get a second season, or at least we get a follow-up movie or something. But I do think that they approached this ending as if it was a one-shot series with the hope that they could continue on. They left enough threads, but they also could leave it where it is, and it would stand alone just fine.
Yeah, because they let you know who was who, and there's a story behind each character. Jarvis, Stark, Peggy Carter's, I guess, soon to be husband. Just the whole thing.
I was disappointed in that. I was convinced he was going to be a sleeper cell, and I'm still not convinced he's not.
I think what my issue was, or there was also another issue, is that the Chad Michael Murray character should have been Pierce. I felt like he should have been that Pierce character,
Who's Pierce? Who's Pierce?
From
the
Winter
guy from
Soldier.
MASH?
No, from Winter Soldier. What the hell is his name?
Oh yeah, he should have.
Right,
Robert Redford.
Yes, he should have played that Robert Redford character.
Oh come on, Sean! Can't you get hired by Marvel? That was a great idea.
No, I'd rather get hired by DC.
You know what? Tell you what, they need a lot more help. So
Yeah, exactly.
They
But
probably have a lot more openings.
yeah, exactly.
They
But
will
no.
after Aquaman comes out, I guarantee it.
But no, I felt like that character like was just nothing in the wind. Like I felt like if he would have had like a backstory or a name, it would have kind of been like, oh, okay. So then he'll turn to this, and then he'll turn to that. Like it was just a lot of kind of okay. I'll get this story. We'll throw this little thing in there, and that's it.
Well,
And
and he got made director at the end, didn't he?
I don't even know because he did say check out my office, but
Right.
I have no idea. Like it just makes it was a lot of teasing, but no end game.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't give it to us. And, I think all of us had an expectation from last episode that, okay, when you go back to the one-shot, at the end of the one-shot, Peggy Carter's introduced as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like I wish they would have played off of like her, being on the first day of Shield, or
Right.
Showing her office of Shield. Like Stark and like, hey, this is your office, or this is how we set it up. You're a Shield, this is what we want you to do, and that
Right.
would have been it. Instead of just her going into the office and saying, oh yeah, I'm packing my and I'm leaving.
Right.
or whatever. Like that just didn't make any sense to me. Like I really wanted so much more out of this last episode because they played so much to the whole season, and then
Right.
come to find out at the end of the day, it just wasn't really. There was no
Yeah.
setup for anything, and
Yet the moral of the story is, I don't need accolades like these silly men. And that was the end.
right.
Right.
Okay.
So, okay, we're stressing on the negatives. I want to go to a couple of the positives. Number one, Jack, I think you're wrong. I think the fight with Peggy and Dottie was spot on. I think that if it had been any more, Peggy's not a superhero.
Right.
I think she handled herself really well and used her brain to get past Dottie and knock Dottie out of that window. And I think that the fact that we had the Michael Myers ending with Dottie, she falls out the window, you think she's dead, and oh, she's not there anymore. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I think it leaves a nice thread that if they don't do a season 2, that just goes into the lexicon somewhere. If they do a season 2, they have a baddie out there they can use.
Right.
I loved that we saw Armanzola, but you know what? I think that what they were doing there, they could have gotten to a little earlier in this season.
Agreed.
I also think that, once again, just what you said about Bradley Whitford. I'm confused. So Chad Michael Murray plays Jack Thompson, right?
Right.
And what was Bradley Whitford played? His character had a different name. It was like Johnson or something, or Jarvis. I don't know.
A character that
Jarvis.
really doesn't play off in
But he's not here
universe.
at all. And if Jack Thompson got made director because he's like, oh, step into my office, was he just saying that like when people say that, like when the Fonz would say that about the bathroom? Oh, step into my office. Or was he? Did he mean he's now the director because he's getting these accolades? I don't know. I was very confused by that little bit at the end.
Well, I think it's that open-ending setup. It didn't really confirm anything.
I don't
Where
really know if it was a setup. It might have just been a line that was miswritten, so that maybe you're not even supposed to think he's director.
No,
I was going to say, I think it is. I think we're supposed to figure he's just gotten all the credit for the operation. This is now his office. And I think if and when the series does come back, that there'll be a little, like, what do you mean? When they come back, the answer will be, what do you mean your office? Because Peggy's the new director.
No, Peggy's not going to be director there.
All right, that's SSR.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's Agent Flynn is who Bradley Whitford played. So that's really where it should have ended. It should have been Bradley Whitford coming in. He's been appointed the new director. Then we could fill in the blanks and say that one shot, happened here. Maybe we don't get all the how did it end up there. It just happened. So when the next season starts, boom, birth of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we get to see what she does there. That would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. But can I ask you a question? Is Agent Carter is new to the universe, right?
No.
Is she older? Does she come from any older comics? Because I don't know. I don't really know her backstory to whereas the only thing I've seen her from was Captain America. and that's it. Was she in any comic books back in the day, or because I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Can anybody answer that question for me?
What do you got, Alil? You're usually the one that rolls these out.
Yeah, well, you usually got the info.
Kind of weak tonight, Alil. What are you doing?
I don't want to interrupt the great conversation that's going on. I'll jump in when I have.
What are you listening to?
I'm listening to League of Geeks. I'm listening to League of Geeks podcast right now.
There it is.
No, I don't think it was Peggy Carter in the comics. I think she came later.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But this is where my question kind of I want to hit on is that Marvel. Okay, these are comic book characters at this point. Now, the Peggy Carter character, I felt would have been kind of cool if they would have kind of gave her like a kind of a Captain America kind of superpower. Like it seems like they want to get out of the superpower universe in this storyline, but it really I felt like she needed something to kind of like kick ass to take names later on instead of her just being an agent. Why not just give her like a kind of a power that later on she could have like used? Or like, oh wow, okay, this is how she did this is how she did that. Like they could have gave her like maybe like I said a Steve Rogers kind of power for her to kind of flip through the universe and kind of make her a stronger character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but yet they're going in like just a regular plain person route, and I don't understand that. Like that kind of it kind of confuses me a little bit. Like I understand the whole thing, but it would make sense to give her a superpower, right? Am I wrong or am I just crazy?
Well, let me jump back.
You threw a lot of questions out there. We're going one by one with those.
let me jump back real quick. She was in the comics back in Tales of Suspense number 77 in a flashback. And it was the only time I think that Peggy Carter was named. And then in the future, like Steve Rogers' love interest Sharon Carter is found to be a relative of the past love. So she was known.
And wasn't there a Sharon Carter in Captain America or in 2?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think there's a character that's not named, but in the credits it lists her as Sharon Carter.
Was that Agent 13? That was Agent 13, the neighbor that was in Winter Soldier.
Oh, so that is Sharon Carter then?
Yes.
Well, that's...
I think is that the rumor?
Didn't they call her Agent 13?
Or did we call her that because we make up a lot of crap on here?
Yeah, we do. We this is sometimes where we need Charlie because he's a freaking encyclopedia.
Right.
But Sean, I'm gonna jump back, okay, because you guys have talked for a lot. But I'm gonna jump back to something you said before because we were talking about the blood and Winter Soldier and all this kind of stuff. Mm. Now, I don't need Peggy Carter to be super powered. Right. I did like having Dottie and the Black Widow kind of stuff. But wouldn't have this been kind of a perfect entrance to bring in the Winter Soldier because he could exist? Yes. This is a year past Cap's death, so what are we saying?
He's on ice somewhere. He's not frozen on a block of ice like Captain America. He's getting experimented on right now
with the Russians. So I mean, he could be part of the early stages of Leviathan, and they could have brought him in for one episode, and it would have been pretty awesome.
You know what? And that was another thing. I thought for sure this was going to be the episode where we really got a sense of Leviathan, and instead it's 2 people still. And then Armin Zola in a prison.
Yeah,
and I was like, this isn't what I thought. And I still think that there is a bigger Leviathan story that's out there. I just don't think that they went there. With
but what was the point of even why not just use Hydra? Like it would have been so much easier because we already know of this.
Well, because Hydra was taken apart and Leviathan was a Russian group that was separate.
Yeah,
so
but
it makes sense.
I don't, but see, it doesn't make any sense because if you go back to Winter Soldier and go back to where Armin Zola was talking, Levi or Hydra was always there, then they could have just kind of used that on something. Like it just, like I felt like Leviathan is just something that's just not really. It's kind of pointless. Like if you just played off of Hydra, you'd have been fine, and everyone would have known that storyline, and you could have just ran from there. But that wasn't the case in this show, and those are those things I just don't understand. But go ahead, Lil.
Well, no, what I was thinking was eventually that these would kind of absorb into each other.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we got at the end there with Zola, basically saying that, where you're at in an American prison, basically he made it sound like it was a Club Med.
Yeah, right.
And maybe this is kind of where you're seeing the brainstorming of all this stuff, because we see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they use this mind control power. So where do they get it from? Of course, they get it from Leviathan. Leviathan and Hydra, here is where you see them combine, forces.
Right.
And because it's no longer just the Nazi regime. We know that now. That it's basically anybody who wants to be this. I mean, Gary Shandling was part of Hydra. So
But then again, like his brainwashing skills, it just kind of fell flat for me. Like there's no end game to that story. It's like, okay, yeah, he can brainwash people, but then if Hydra is brainwashing people temporarily because it seems like they can come out of it, what is the point? Like it's just there's a lot of answers that aren't really answered.
They evolve it. I mean, this is the early stages. This is where
this
Hydra
is like
takes
an origin story of all of it.
Yeah, Hydra takes the technology because we see some of it where they're using the clips and everything, and then even with like Ward and all these people, how they talk to them and how they interact with them. I mean, this is all early stages. What we saw here of what Hydra develops.
Okay,
I think that's how you take it. I think this is all early stages of the Widow program. We get all of that.
And I think that might be where
more.
it fell flat. Exactly. I think that might be where it fell flat. If these are the early stages, maybe we could have seen a little bit more of that instead of one Widow character.
Right.
That we see her do her stuff and then boom. And we know these other girls are out there, but they didn't readdress that.
Well, we see two. We see two. See the one in the when they were in Russia kind of take out half the...
Right. But there was a whole room full of them, and they didn't really get into that enough. I mean, is there only one camp training these girls, or are there 50 of these camps training these girls?
I think that'll play in Age of Ultron though, because there are some scenes, if you look in the trailer, of girls dancing and all that kind of stuff. Which to what I know now, that has to be like some kind of Black Widow, drawback story. Yeah. So
well, and the other thing that happened this week is that poster came out for Age of Ultron, and it had all these the pictures of who's in it, and a couple of spoilers. We know that the Falcon is in it. We know that, and we also know that Peggy Carter is in it. And maybe some of these things that we're talking about are going to kind of come to light when we see the movie.
Can I spoil a little bit? Can I throw a little spoiler in there of what I think is going to happen?
Sure. If it's what you're thinking, it's not really a spoiler. It's a theory, but
it's true. It's a theory. So
unless you're like, no, I saw it, and spoiler.
I would say it's a theory and kind of a spoiler because if per se, if Captain America will go back, in the past, because per Scarlet Witch can take over take over minds.
Right. So
what happens is that Captain America will, and you see it from a scene in the trailer that he goes back in time. It's all in his head though. That he goes back in time and sees that time and age where he was part of that time frame, and that's where he'll probably see Peggy Carter. That's my theory on that.
Well, there's another thought though. I actually read that's a good one though, Sean.
Thank you.
I did read something though where they said that Scarlet Witch can do. She has abilities that are a little different, and they were. I mean, I don't understand her abilities really, but one of the things they said is she has the ability to bring Peggy Carter forward, almost like like a Doctor Who episode. We've got split time now, where we saw the old Peggy Carter at the end of Cap 2, but a young Peggy Carter is brought forward, and now she's part of the MCU. And they were saying, you might know this better than I do, but doesn't she become a character? Aren't they doing something with that, or is that something that's coming up?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I might have skipped on that. I'll have to double check.
This also could have been a fever dream I had. I'm not sure.
I think this might have been a fever dream, but go ahead. I think it would be cool to play into that, because then that plays into a Lil's theory of Doctor Strange bringing Spider-Man forth.
That very well could be it, man. That could be it. Although I think they'd be foolish to bring Peggy Carter forward, because you've got this show that is different. You've got this time period that no one else is playing in. keep this. Keep it the way it is. Let Cap go back, let him do some time travel or do it in his mind, but keep Carter where she is, and let's see S.H.I.E.L.D. start and all the crap that goes down when that happens. And you know what? They could even tie it into the whole Marvel thing where Tesla is part of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, we could get a story like that. That would be freaking sweet.
There's so many potential storylines you can do to this, to a lot of this Agent Carter stuff, but it seems like they just kind of fell flat of what could have been done.
Once again, it could just be they had 8 episodes. They thought this is a mini-series. We're just going to make it a chapter in the book. And that's why we got a chapter of the book. We didn't really get a book.
Well, and I think that's one of the conflicts that we had here is they have such long-reaching plans, and all we were left with was 8 episodes where they might have compressed more into those 8. But if you have a much longer range plan, if this moves to Netflix and they do more, they don't have to clean up the storylines they jumped. They don't have to jump the shark
X-Men has had to do.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, what do you do? You've got a whole, the future past and the guys from. Okay, what's the one where they replaced all with younger actors?
First Class.
First class,
yeah.
And so, then you've got to, okay, so do they go with that storyline or do they go back? It leads to a lot of confusion. So my theory is they'd rather leave people flat and be able to come back to episode 9 through, 18 or whatever it is. And I think that's their plan. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's all conjecture. We have no idea, other than I really do think it was just supposed to be a chapter, and they didn't want to give too much. They didn't want to move things too far forward because they don't want it to affect the MCU unless they know they're going to continue to tell these stories.
Right.
At least that's what I think. I don't know. So I have an idea that I thought of when I was watching it today. And I tweeted out a thing about it, so I don't know if anybody read it, but I know how they could continue on, because, what do they have plans to 2029, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They have a way to reboot everything in 2030. The radio announcer becomes, at that point, so poor Ralph Garman is going to have to wait, 15 more years before he gets this shot, but he's going to become the reporter from the Marvels series. And we can have, at that point, everything go back. Everything is ended. Now they do a Marvels movie with him at the inception of all the superheroes. And now you can reboot and have younger actors and everything and just start the whole thing over. Different timeline and everything. Nobody cares about that one? All right, let's talk Spider-Man 66 then. I thought that was actually a good one, man. Did you guys read Marvels? Please tell me you read Marvels.
I did
not. Dead silence? Are you kidding?
I did not. No, I did not.
Marvels is an incredible book. It was a 4-issue run. That's why you guys were so silent. If you read the damn thing, you'd love this idea. The story is a reporter who is there when it all starts in the 60s. So he's out and here they'd obviously have to change the time frame, but he's this older guy and he's kind of recollecting how the day that he saw Spider-Man swinging between 2 buildings. He looked up and he saw the first time he saw the 4 appear in the sky. And there's a story to it, but at the same time, all this stuff is kind of happening at the peripheral. All this superhero stuff is kind of going on around while this character is living his life. And the Fantastic Four fights the Mole Men, and then you see him walk through, and he's walking through the rubble afterwards. And wow, what are we is this going to be something that we have to deal with going forward? Is our city getting destroyed every 10 minutes by these people? Huh. It's a great book. It's fantastic. It's Kurt Busiek did the I think he wrote it. Watch, I just threw that out there. Now I might be completely wrong. All right, I'm looking it up.
Well, while you're doing that, I was looking at a site. It's a design. I think it's Design and Trend, but they have an interview with what's his name, Jeff. Is it Loeb? How do you say his name?
Loeb, yeah.
And he said really they really talked about Agent Carter 2 or 3, and they're not into a format of 22, 23 episodes, but 10 or 13 at a time, and they're really not going to plan the next adventure until it's already happened. And ABC hasn't really confirmed whether they're going to do it, but he's hoping it's more than just a kind of a bridge for S.H.I.E.L.D. So they had an idea of 30 hours of Marvel as a unit rather than thinking of it as all these separate shows.
Okay.
And so, they're hoping that can continue, but, the one thing that he keeps quoting is it's all connected. So,
well, he stole that from Charlie.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's going to be their theme across the board because, it is a tie-in. This is going to be about how S.H.I.E.L.D. started, and you have that tie-in, and, it goes into Avengers. He said, the thing about this show was people were invested off the top. It was a set of characters that you could get in a time period. This is where they're at, whereas...
And it was tied into Captain America strongly, which already has a fan base. Yeah, that all makes sense.
Right, and off the top, that right now in this time period, Cap is dead. So there's no expectation. Whereas the problem that they had with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is they didn't know what the show was going to be, but the public said, "Oh, I'm expecting Hulk. I'm expecting Daredevil. I'm expecting Cap." In the first couple episodes,
right?
Where if you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I've got all the original. The only people they're fighting Hydra, they're fighting AIM. There are Doctor Strange is in there, but within the group itself, there are no supers.
Right.
And
there are now on our show.
Yeah. Well, I think they confuse that on the show, but here with Agents of Carter, Agents of Carter.
Agents of Carter.
I'm getting tired too. But Agent Carter, it's that time period. We know that S.H.I.E.L.D. is in its infancy. We know it's post-World War II. We know, so everybody was invested in this, kind of locked in, but they refused to jump the gun and do more than they're going to plan. And I think that's what we're feeling is, well, wait a minute, there was no finish, whereas they're not expecting to finish this.
Sure.
They've got out of the eight episodes.
Right, it just continues is what they're looking at. That's what you're saying.
Right. They've got 4 hours of episode in the can. And that's what we saw was 4 hours of non-commercial action. And they're planning on another 26 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I just put it on our Facebook page. I just put a link. It's Marvel, so it was Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross did it. And a little big Spider-Man fan.
You know what? I think I know what the...
Look at that friggin' artwork, man.
Yeah, I've seen because it was Alex Ross, and then this jumped into another series that he did. Okay, I know this series.
This is a fantastic series, and that's exactly how you take it forward. You have that Ralph Garman character become, have him around. I mean, he's total peripheral character, but then in 2030, all of a sudden, he's the central character of a Marvel movie that allows you to reboot the entire universe after all the craziness we're going to see. And at that point, Ben Affleck can come in. He can play Iron Man. No, Ben Affleck's kid. Oh, please don't make that happen. Please don't let that happen.
I think everything will just drift into just a whole reboot, and they won't reboot the same stories. They'll just do a different take on everything.
Well, that's why I said this is the way to. This is an entry point that makes sense. And it almost like does the Marvel thing of having a second timeline.
I'm still waiting for Spider-Man: Birth of the Catalytic Converter in 1974.
Who isn't waiting for that?
If you're around in 1970, you would think that is hilarious because 1974 is when we got the catalytic converter and all the cars got less powerful, and it was very sad. Now people just steal the the precious metal out of it.
I feel like Jack just pushed this whole show out the window, and we're laying on the wing of a plane, bleeding out.
I'm gonna bring this back, and if Jack, you said this while I was reading this, I apologize. But I'm reading an article here by the executive producers.
If it's Jeff Loeb, I'm.
Oh man, that's exactly what I was talking about. No,
Michael Fazakis. He said that having Zola at the end with Faustus connects this story to the Winter Soldier program because it's his mind control development that Zola and him work on is the direct connection to the Winter Soldier program, and that's where they're trying to go with this, and they're looking like, you know, how they're talking here is that, you know, that there will probably be a season 2. How, I don't know, but that's kind of where they go with. And then they're asked if Zola is going to be the villain, and they said no. But, you know, they're really anticipating season 2 because they've already got stuff in the works for it.
But then that makes once again. Oh gosh, I tell you, I don't know. I don't know what makes sense.
Sean does not approve.
Or what? But no. I approve.
We know Zola's going to be in jail for a while because they talk about it that he then works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Are we going to get the Zola story and then eventually have him be the robot guy inside of the guy's chest? Are we going to get there?
I don't think it's going to happen because they already tried it. They already did it in Winter Soldier, and that was it. That was all you're going to get. You're not going to get the whole chest and the whole chest and the man thing. It's all right. It's over.
Sure? I'm thinking we might now. Now all of a sudden I'm like, wait, if they're still playing with Zola, what if that happens?
I don't think that we'll get that. And the only reason why I say that, you know what we'll get, like, no, well, it's over. He's already done for it anyway. But I can't see him battling anybody. Who else? He's only gonna. Are they only going to have just Peggy Carter? You know, as like the main story person to take out that, like, that makes no sense because
this is where you can bring in a young Ant-Man because you don't have to cast Michael Douglas because they've already talked about in the Ant-Man movie that Peggy Carter's in that as well in flashback scenes. Mm-hmm. So you can have her being part of a program to gather supers.
Yeah, and the Wasp.
And you can bring some of those classic supers, and maybe that's where we get, what was the old cat? Was a Nomad with the black suit Captain America type guy?
Yeah, I don't think it's Nomad though, but I know you're talking about.
I can't remember the name. But they can start bringing in old supers in this universe here and kind of tie that in. These are characters that they might not use again.
That'd be cool.
What are we talking about? The Wiz or the Whizzer? Was it?
The Wiz was Diana Ross in 19.
I know the Wiz. I know.
With Michael Jackson.
The Whizzer.
Who else was in there? Was that Ben Kingsley or somebody was in that?
You guys stink. Oh.
Sean, I got a story for you. Wait, I got a story for Sean. He's going to appreciate this. So when I was a kid growing up, you know how people say like, "Oh, I don't see color. I don't understand it." I really didn't. I grew up in a house where my dad was a jazz musician. I was around all types of people all the time.
Right.
So I'm a kid. I don't know what year The Wiz came out, but if you look it up, you'll know exactly how old I was because I was born in '68. We went to see The Wiz when it played in Chicago. Afterwards, we came out, and I'm like, I loved it. I'm going to be in that show someday. And that's when my parents had to have the talk with me. So you're not going to be in that show.
Yeah, you're not a black guy.
There's one glaring reason you're not getting in that show. I'm telling you, man, I had no clue. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, aside from the fact that I can't sing, that would have been also a deal breaker. But.
Yeah.
Is that when you found out you weren't going to be iced tea, but you were going to be Vanilla Ice?
That was it.
Oh boy, we went off on it. That was just like way off the rails, wasn't it?
Nipsey Russell. That's who it was.
Soupy Sales.
That's who was in it. It was Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Nipsey Russell, and Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor. What was he doing in that?
Wow.
Mabel King was in it. Oh my gosh.
Good guy. This is like Lemmings off a cliff.
Oh, I love it. You love this movie, don't you, Sean?
Oh, I love that movie.
See?
Love it. I thought we were going to review it on our show, but I don't think it ever happened.
Oh, you know what? If you guys are going to review it, have me on it. How about you, Alil? You like The Wiz?
Yeah, of course. I love Michael Jackson, so everything he does.
I love The Wiz. Yeah. Huh. How about you, Jack?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I used to come home after school and watch, what was it, Soul Train and and all that. Like I said, I had no concept that I would never ever get a chance to dance on that show. I mean, and it's not because I'm not black. It's because I can't dance either.
You've got 2-foot legs, and yeah.
Was the guy from the dad from King of the Hill? My shins got shot out in the war.
Yeah, that's you, man.
That's totally me.
Oh God. Oh, The Wiz. I loved that movie.
Oh, that was great.
You know who made that movie? First of all, the screenplay was by Joel Schumacher. So that's why the Tin Man has nipples. I
thought he was a horse jockey.
And Sidney Lumet directed it. Sidney Lumet's a hell of a director.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he is the whitest guy in Hollywood.
It was a good movie, put it like this. I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I loved it. He did Dog Day Afternoon. You ever see Dog Day Afternoon?
I did see that movie.
Awesome.
Oh, Serpico, he did that one. Oh my God.
Serpico
that is a movie, man. Oh, I love these movies. I love his stuff. He did Network. Okay, what are we talking about? We're talking about Agent Carter. Maybe they should do one where they go back to the 70s.
Go from Agent Carter to Serpico.
They do one back in the 70s, and it's directed by Sidney Lumet. That would be awesome. Although he died in 2011, so that won't really work. Maybe Scarlet Witch could make that happen.
I have no idea what happened tonight.
Okay, let's go back to the show. There were things I wanted to talk about with the show, and I can't remember what they were now. Her friend was back at the end. I forgot about her friend. The one, the waitress. Like, she was kind of... I do appreciate that they went back and brought her back in, but because a lot of times shows will just take a character and ditch them, and that's it. Gone. So I appreciated that, but why are they living in this house that Howard is setting them up in? I don't understand that. How does Howard know her? I don't understand it either.
Yeah, I don't get
How does Howard know her that he's giving her this, house with phones in every room?
He's giving it to both of them because he knows what she did for Peggy.
But why aren't they living
protected Peggy?
Did the other house get blown up or something? What happened there?
Didn't something happen? We don't have a home. Something happened at that whatever they were living at.
What happened? Do you remember?
Women's hostel. Well, the fact that lady's not going to let Peggy back in.
You know what? Maybe that's Tony Stark's mom.
No.
Oh, the waitress.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
That could be.
Never know.
A lot of people have been saying, I wonder if Peggy will turn out to be Tony Stark's mom. There's no way. That's ridiculous.
No.
That's ridiculous.
No, that's not going to happen. But maybe that waitress.
No, not with. She's still pining for. She's not going to leave Cap, even if he's not there.
Well, she is eventually.
She gets married, yeah.
She gets married, yeah.
Yeah, but not in this time.
It has I don't know.
But Tony Stark wasn't born in this time. He's not born for another 20 years after this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right,
that could be his mom.
That could be his mom.
Huh.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Courtesy
Sean's out.
Courtesy of the League of Geeks.
What if it's Dottie? Because she was.
That's true. He couldn't remember her name, but he did.
That would be crazy.
He did remember it at the end. It was Ida.
No, but that was the joke. I don't think he even got it right then. Because they had just said Dottie, and he was like, "I got it. It's Ida."
No, I think that was actually the one. I think that was the joke because he kept saying all the wrong names, and she'd slap him at the very end. It was like, "Oh, I got it. It was Ida."
Do you think that she took the name Dottie from the plane? Because the plane said Dottie across it.
Oh, it did? I didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she just named herself Dottie because of the plane, or that's where she got the idea.
Yeah, because she keeps saying that she can be anybody, that she is anybody. So
yeah, so who knows what her real name is?
Now she'll be Tony's mom. Holy cow.
That would be awesome. That's a great idea.
I said take out the trash. Yes, dear.
Now, did we, what were the things we said mark our words on? Did we get any of that right?
The only thing was that the gas was the same gas that was used in that Russian...
Yeah, you were right about that one. That's an Lil score. Very good.
Yeah, I was completely wrong about the blood because I really thought it would lead to something, but it didn't.
Yeah.
I wish it would have.
It led to the Titanic moment when she walked up to the edge of the boat and dropped it into the ocean. And
yeah, it was some. I don't know anybody.
Celine Dion started to sing. Blah.
I don't know anybody with common sense that wouldn't take that blood. Like, don't you want to be like awesome? Like, why would you not want to be awesome? Like, that makes no sense to me at all. It's just like, okay, just take the blood. Just use it in some kind of way, so that way you can kick Dottie's ass next time she comes up. You know, she faces off with you. That'd be awesome. God, there were so many stories you could do with Agent Carter to make her a superhero, but
she doesn't need to be a superhero, Sean.
Why
can't she just be head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and be awesome? It's like it's like on S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, Coulson has this backstory, but does he need to be a superhero?
He kind of is, though.
Well,
he kind of is because he has alien blood. He has alien blood.
Yeah, but does he need to have superpowers? Does he need to have, super soldier?
Well, to make Agents so interesting, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
That is 1 point to Sean. Boom.
You see, they had to bring in a superhero just for them, to kind of step it up a little bit.
That's true. Did you see that? What's her name? Black Canary is officially signed on, so she is an official cast member now. Is that her name? What's her name? Mockingbird.
Well, I was like Black Canary.
I don't
we talking about Arrow?
Bobby Morrissey. Is that her name?
Yeah. Mockingbird.
That's cool. But will it play off in the cinematic universe?
Yeah, she's supposed. I heard that she was going to be in Age of Ultron. I heard that S.H.I.E.L.D. will be a part of it.
Interesting. Now, will they take the S.H.I.E.L.D. cast? Because I heard originally that Trip was going to be in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, you know what? He was on set.
With Age of Ultron, but that doesn't. That's not going to work now.
He did.
Right.
Unless they bring him back as a clone.
You know what? They could, or that could have just been a red herring to get people talking about it. Because the fact that, at the time that rumor was going around, no one had any clue he was going to bite it.
Right.
No.
So that could have been all it was just a way to kind of get people talking about Ultron. And you know what? We'll take this character and we'll raise this question. They'll get people talking.
I don't like the fact that there's no black characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm kind of upset about that.
There is.
Mac is still there. In fact, everybody thought
sucks.
He doesn't.
Mac
Get
sucks.
out of here.
Mac, look, first of all, Mac is a mechanic. That's all he is. That's all he's good for. Like, you couldn't, like, I looked at the poster today of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm like, oh, there's no black guy on there.
There isn't on the poster, but Anthony Mackie's in the show.
Is he?
And Don Cheadle's in it too. Yep, both of them are going to be in it.
Oh, now that might be fun.
War Machine and Falcon in this movie, and they're.
Oh no! I think so. About Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, I'm talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm talking Ultron.
We're talking
the show. How about you know what? There was a black guy tonight. Of course, he was killed right away, but there was a black guy on Agent Carter. So
Agent Carter, the cop. Yeah.
No, he was killed right away.
As soon as he got killed, it was right after he got killed. I was sitting there laughing. I'm like, oh, I wish I was talking to Sean about this. And then, sure enough, Will says, hey, Sean wants to be on tonight. I'm like, yep, I know what we're going to bring up.
Look, black guy. He didn't make it.
That's right.
Yeah, he was
at the end of this episode, we're going to kill you, Sean. Just spoiler.
Yeah, you kill me at the end of the show. I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back, so you might as well kill me off.
Oh, you're coming back.
I'm just playing.
Because then we got to get Steve on here. We know what that means. It just means a mean tweet from Steve after this. What did he mean by that?
Oh boy.
Yeah, who cares? He's in California right now in 70-degree weather, so I don't care.
Yeah, really. Let's throw some hate that way. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I hate those guys.
Okay,
Miami.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I was burning up. It was like 82 degrees. It was a kind of a pain.
On that note, Jack.
Silence. What's it like Jack. What's it like 5 degrees up there?
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't left the house. I'm in my pajamas literally for the last 3 days. So yeah, it could be any temperature outside.
And snowing.
Is it snowing?
Yeah. Roads are bad.
Really?
Oh.
Is it that bad out there?
It was bad today.
Yeah.
Really?
I feel for you, man.
What happened to the show? All of a sudden it turned into old men. Let's talk about the weather.
Shaking my fist in the air.
Oh my gosh! All right, what else haven't we talked about, or have we talked this one out?
I think we've talked it out. I think
so too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna give my sound off. I hope we get a season 2 Agent Carter. There was a lot of highs. I just think that I think they ended it off kind of, in a place where like I wish I wanted more. Like if they ended it here and they didn't come back, I'm like, okay,
I think
they told their story, and I think that's my problem. Like I wanted like so much to happen where I'm like, oh my god, where are we going next? And it's like,
yeah, I think that's exactly it. I actually enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I had fun watching it, but when it came to the very end, I didn't leave dying for the next thing.
right.
And I think that's exactly where the problem is.
They solved the issues within the first like half hour of the show, and the last half hour seemed like it was all kind of like fluff. Like we were talking about, they get the house. Here she's on the bridge. Here everybody's clapping for her coming back into the SSR, and it's just
right.
Let's go have a drink. And it's like, okay, yeah, I liked all that stuff, but I think it could have been done quicker and with some more emphasis on future things. And then like even the Zola thing at the end, which I loved. I loved that part, but it's like, give me, this is what Sean always says: give me more, and give me some supers involved. And this is where like it would have been cool to see something maybe involving Winter Soldier, and that's why.
Or more of a cliffhanger
he needed
at that
Faustus,
point.
Something, yeah.
Yes, more of a cliffhanger at that point, and something that makes you, when you close the book, you're like, oh, Winter Soldier.
Yep.
That's really what you needed, and we didn't get.
Right.
Yeah, we needed something to go up. But like you say, I think to leave it on, it was a positive, it was a good show. Hopefully there's more coming. It did seem like a bridge for episode 9, but it was all said and done. It was a decent show.
I actually loved it. I'm actually waiting for it to hit Netflix. I want to binge it, and I think I want to see what my reaction is to it, watching it back to back to back to back. Because the way the pacing was at the end might not bother you as much. It's like when I went and saw the Lord of the Rings director's cuts in the theater. So I sat for 13 hours of Lord of the Rings. Right?
Oh my gosh!
You know what? That's what I thought going into it. I thought I'm going to do it. I took a bullet for the podcast we were doing. I'm like, I'm going to try it. And I'll tell you what. First of all, I never got bored, which was surprising. I thought I'd fall asleep. I thought I'd start tweeting or whatever. Nothing. And when it got to that ending...
Wait. You're going to tweet during a movie, Rob?
No, during the breaks.
No, don't even try. Yeah, right.
No, I don't.
Going to the Rogues Gallery.
The only time I have was when I saw Indiana Jones, and I didn't tweet, but I snapped a picture of the screen and just sent it out on Facebook and said, finally, like seeing it on the big screen again. That's
the old Indiana Jones or the Crystal Skull?
The first Indiana Jones. Please, Sean, who do you think I am?
I don't know.
No, man, I am not a Shia LaBeouf fan. This is an argument that Lil and I have all the time at Blue Box. He's all Shia LaBeoufed up. I am not.
Yeah, sure.
Is that
I just love him so much.
I know a little.
Shia LaBeouf. I don't think that's an actual term.
It is now. Hashtag Shia LaBeouf.
I've been Shia LaBeoufed.
Hashtag Shia LaBeouf, new Spider-Man.
Oh my god! I would be.
No, maybe you won't be invited back on.
Oh my god! Like,
yes, he is.
And his dad will be Mark Wahlberg.
Oh man!
And he'll be Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
They keep going younger and younger.
Uncle Ben with a wicked Boston accent. Mark Wahlberg. Yes, that would be
Jennifer
awesome.
Lawrence will be Aunt May, and you're like, wait, but what?
No. Jennifer Lopez, Aunt May.
Jennifer Lopez.
Now you're talking.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, now you are talking.
Yeah.
Here goes Jack. Now you'll see that Aunt May movie if it's starring Jennifer Lopez.
Aunt May XXXX.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, maybe 2 X's. There are kids. The children are. Don't forget the children, for God's sakes.
Oh, sorry.
Sean's still saying X's. I don't know what's going on over there.
XXXX.
I hear something. I hear some rickety music in the background. It keeps going. Chicka, 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 chicka. I don't know what it is.
XXXX.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I think we've covered it all. And
I think we have.
All right.
Things we weren't supposed to.
Sean, thank you so much for being on.
Always a
Lil,
pleasure.
Jack. Yeah, man. It is. I'm so glad you were on. And you'll go into hiding now until the next Agent Carter series, or are we going to have you back at some point?
Well, until I get killed off.
Yeah, right. Or until you kill one of us. Me, namely.
Okay.
Actually, we should rename you Ensign Sean.
Maybe we'll get you back on when Daredevil hits, because I have a feeling you're going to be into that show.
I have a feeling that I'm going to watch the whole thing in one day.
And I have a feeling, too. I'm like, how do I clear my schedule now? Because that is happening. That show is on. Yeah, and there's tie-ins. What did I read today?
Yeah,
Who cares?
Absorbing Man from
Yes!
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They
Yes,
showed him in
he's
stills
the
for
one-
Daredevil.
He's the one fighting Daredevil's dad.
That'll work.
Yep. Heck yeah, it will. All right. Well, we'll have you back for Daredevil then. We'll have some
Awesome.
chat. Maybe we can actually get Steve to come on then, because you know he's going to binge it too.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We get a little League of Geeks crossover. Maybe we can kick a Lil out that day. I was like, wait a minute, this backfired. All right. You can find past episodes of this and all of our podcasts at our website, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can also find the show that we talked about a lot tonight at, what's your show, Lil?
TheLeagueofGeeks.com, and that's Geeks with a Z. I tweet at LOGEEKZ. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, are we, Sean? We're still
We're on Instagram, yeah.
All right, Instagram. That's your deal. So
okay.
on Instagram, and yeah,
Of course, it's all Sean's artwork, but, you're on there.
it is.
Of course.
Of course.
And that's
then,
Geeks with a G.
Yeah, Geeks with a G. And then, Sean, what do you tweet from?
I don't tweet at all because I hate Twitter. But I am on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram, and I'm not on Facebook, but I handle the League of Geeks Facebook. But you can also go to my website, createinkstudios.com, and I'm on Instagram, createinkstudios. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and decorate your house with his stuff because it's awesome.
Yes.
And Jack, where do you tweet from?
At Jay Wengroski, and from our other podcast, the Blacklist podcast, it's at Blacklist Pod, and from the new Harry Bosch, there's a pod for that too, or a Twitter. I don't know what it is.
You got the podcast, the Bosch podcast. I don't know what the Twitter is either, though.
Yeah. Go listen to it, and then you'll figure it out.
I tweet from at @Southgate and from Nuff Said Pod. And Martha, who we're going to bring up here, she tweets from the main one for the company, which is at SMG Pod. There you go. I think we got it all out there. We're on Instagram and Tumblr and everything else. We got a new YouTube channel, too, and it's awesome. Check that out. And actually, we just put up a video of our show Before the Bat. They had Mike Zapsik from Comic Book Men on. So, yeah, it's a must listen, must watch. So, there you go. I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Sean, once again, thank you so much for being on. It was a lot of fun.
Always a pleasure.
And, yeah, man, we'll have you back for Daredevil. And that's it. We're done. Enough said.
Enough said.
Enough said.